Welcome back to Hannity. Breaking news now. According to a report, the DOJ Inspector General, the one we've been waiting for, has completed a draft of a report as it relates to the handling of the Clinton email investigation. Here with reaction to all of this, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis, also with us, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter. Sarah, let's talk to you first. We know it's supposed to come in May. It was first supposed to come in April. But they found new information as it relates to this, and new evidence and a new trail they were following. Where are we with this?
Well, it looks like it's wrapped up, and we were expecting it to wrap up in May. They extended that because they did find new information, and it's going to be imperative, I guess, for the Inspector General Horowitz to get all of that information into this report, which I believe he did, and now he will be releasing. So this is going to be very important. I mean, this is part of what Congress has been asking for all along. Remember, it's the Inspector General that has all of the documentation, the 1.2 million pieces of documentation that Congress has been practically begging for and pushing and threatening with subpoenas, the DOJ and the FBI. So this report is going to be very important.
Let me go to Congressman Jim Jordan. This is a big breakthrough on top of the letter that both you, Ron DeSantis, and Mark Meadows, who's not with us tonight, have put out, saying the president, you've got to get involved. You've got to tell the attorney general, and you have the power constitutionally to do so. There's over 1.2 million documents we're talking about here. And we know with the little bit we've gotten, as Andy McCarthy wrote, we've only have a few of the struck page memos just to begin with.
Right. Couple things. First, to the Inspector General's report. Remember, it was Michael Horowitz who uncovered the page-struck text messages where we've learned so much information. It was also Michael Horowitz and his team who determined that Andy McCabe had misled people, lied 4 different times, 3 times under oath. So we're all anxiously awaiting this report. I'm sure they'll have to, if it's a draft, there'll be some reviews that have to take place. But that's good news that we're going to be getting that soon. And more importantly, I think, is the letter we sent. We're just tired of the runaround we've been getting from the Department of Justice. It's time for them to turn over the information. And the one way that we know that can happen is for the head of the executive branch, the President of the United States, elected by the American people, to tell the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and the FBI Director, give Congress a separate and equal branch of government.
And they would have to do it.
To see. Yes, and that's what we're asking the President to do.
Ron DeSantis, let me go to you because this is a very key point. We're talking about one, again, we've only got a small sampling of the struck page memos, and it's so revealing. Insurance policies, how much they hate Trump, how Strzok, as we've been reporting tonight, is involved in everything. Literally interviews Hillary. She's exonerated. He's writing it months before the exoneration, before he interviews Hillary, 17 other witnesses. Then a few days later, then after they exonerate, rig an investigation into her. Now they're investigating Donald Trump. And that the timing, as the George Papadopoulos story is blowing up in their face.
That's why, Sean, I think the combination of the IG report hitting hopefully very soon, and then if the president pulls the trigger on all this other information, we could have the gusher of information that provides all the clarity that we've been asking about all these different questions. And yeah, you talked about the beginning. How did this Russia probe even start? Very important questions. But even things going up into the special counsel. I mean, Rosenstein writes an appointing order appointing Mueller. The thing's defective on its face. So what does he do in August? He writes a secret addendum, a new appointing order, and then they've redacted most of it. They wouldn't even show the federal judge that.
Paul Manafort, after they already raided Manafort's home. I think the timing's backwards, and that shows corruption. Rosenstein also signing off on that ridiculous FISA application renewal, as did Sally Yates, as we saw in the New York Times piece today. All right, Sarah, here's a big question. I know the Inspector General did release some of the struck page memo, text messages, so revealing. I don't know Michael Horowitz. I know he was appointed by Obama. Why should we believe he's going to do their job? Because the evidence about Hillary and committing felonies and obstruction, it's overwhelming and incontrovertible. Any American would get convicted. The fact that they exonerated her before investigation, it's overwhelming and incontrovertible. What makes you think that we're going to get the truth from him?
Look, I think there's 2 things here that are very revealing. And one, let me just start with your question. Everyone that I've spoken with, every source that I know who knows Michael Horowitz says this man is honorable. He'll stick to his guns. He will be straightforward with the American people and reveal the truth.
Said that about Mueller.
No, but we saw that with the McCabe report. I mean, he went after McCabe. I think in this one, he's going to go after Comey. He's going to go after Loretta Lynch in that meeting, that tarmac meeting. He's going to look at the scope. Yes, Strzok and Page, and the scope of the Clinton. Absolutely. Absolutely, Sean. And I want you to think about the timing of the New York Times story, Crossfire Hurricane. They knew, the DOJ, as well as the FBI, that this report was going to come out. And look, it came out tonight. Right? So they needed to CYA, and they went straight to the New York Times and tried to tell their side of the story.
That's why,
a very limited
side. Isn't it amazing? Did you get the same feeling? The New York Times, while trying to justify and make excuses, all they really did was confirm everything you've reported. And
that's right. They've confirmed
the show is reported.
That's right. They've confirmed everything that's been reported, that we've reported, and they also gave away some information. They talked about at least one mole, at least one source, right?
Right.
So that means there may have been
You're
multiple
going to have a big story
sources.
tomorrow on the FBI informant that was in the Trump campaign, right? Am I jumping the gun here?
I hope so, yes.
Okay.
No, you might not be jumping the gun.
Why should we have faith, and great work, by the way, why should we have faith, Congressman DeSantis, same question, and Michael Horowitz?
Well, I mean, again, I think because he's the one who actually did tell us what Andy McCabe was up to. He's the one who did uncover the Page Strzok text messages. That's all good. Never forget, Sean, Comey has been fired. I think we're going to get information about that in this report.
Yeah,
Andrew McCabe, Deputy Director, fired. Jim Baker, Chief Counsel, demoted, reassigned. I want to know why that happened. We don't know the answer to that. We don't know why Peter Strzok is still there and what he's doing. So I think lots of those things that we're going to get answers to.
Last word, Congressman DeSantis.
Sean, we need to trust but verify. That's why if the president releases these documents, we can view Horowitz's report and then decide for ourselves with everything else.
Because they're the foundation of the Horowitz report, correct?
That's right.
Yep.
By our Fox News count, the House is now just 5 GOP votes away from bringing several DACA bills to the House floor via something called a discharge petition. It's basically a parliamentary tactic to get around the GOP leadership that we told you about last night. So-called moderate Republicans and Democrats are working together to advance a bill that would give amnesty to Dreamers. That's their ultimate goal. Speaker Paul Ryan calls the effort pointless because the president would veto it. Let's get the inside story from House Majority Whip Steve Scalise. Congressman Scalise, this is really upsetting to a lot of us who have seen how this movie always ends. In 2007, the amnesty thing went down in flames. 2013-14, it was so bad with the Gang of Eight that even Marco Rubio now has stepped back from that. And now here we are in the midterm elections. We need everybody unified, and these, frankly, open borders Republicans, that's what I call them, are pushing this move. What's happening?
Well, Laura, first of all, it's good to be back with you. And I don't want to see this discharge petition move because I want to solve the problem. I'm a co-sponsor of the Goodlatte-McCall bill, which really does address all of the different pillars.
Chain migration, all the other issues.
Actually fund the wall, secure the border, end chain migration, the visa lottery, and address DACA, which was a problem, by the way, that Barack Obama created. He said, hey, come to this country illegally, bring your kids. And it's still illegal. We're not going to try to change the law. We'll just look the other way and let somebody else fix it. President Trump said he actually wants to solve this problem, and we're working with President Trump to get a solution. But blanket amnesty with no border protection and no wall is not the answer.
What was happening behind closed doors? You guys had a big meeting yesterday. It got pretty heated. What's the feeling? Is this a big divide in the party? Is this 2025 Republican?
You know, immigration's always been a complicated issue within the Republican conference because you can see the different approaches that we want to take.
What did the president run on? He ran on law and order at the borders,
securing
stop
the border,
this nonsense and build the wall. And Congress passes an omnibus bill that doesn't fund the wall. The president, I think, was led to believe it did. That's what Republicans are really upset about.
There's about 110 miles of new wall in the omnibus, but ultimately what we want is a long-term solution. The full funding for the wall, but really the other issues are so important too, and that is interior enforcement. Look, Secretary Nielsen will tell you, right now this catch and release, these other programs where she literally can have a felon come out of prison who's here illegally, and she can't deport him out of the country. We need to close those loopholes. We need to end a lot of those problems. Friends of mine like Martha McSally have worked really hard on those provisions of Goodlatte-McCall to make sure that we can get back to rule of law and secure our border. And so that's the approach we would like to take, working with President Trump, who wants to solve the problem.
This is what Nancy Pelosi said today about this. Let's watch.
Bring up the bill. Bring up all their bills. Queen of the Hill. We believe that this bipartisan bill that the members have put together who share the value of protecting the Dreamers is the bill that would win. We have an answer. There is a path. Let's get it done. And if not, why not?
Everyone watching should know that the 20 Republicans who are pushing this discharge petition are with the person you just saw on the screen, Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. That is shocking. We now have 40% of Americans, Congressman Scalise, who say the country is going in the right direction. It was about 30% a year.
And that number's growing, which
growing
is
and growing and growing.
Because of what President Trump's been doing to get the economy moving again, get regulations under control, work with us on so many issues like that are really the most meaningful for people. And then you look at Nancy Pelosi just last week. She said if she was Speaker again, she would raise your taxes. She would try to undo these great Trump tax cuts that we were able to get through. But keep in mind, when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker, the entire time she had the majority, she never tried to fix this problem. It wasn't until they lost the majority that all of a sudden she wanted to do something. So they had supermajorities. They never tried to solve DACA. They want it as a political issue. We want to solve the problem, but in a way that restores rule of law and builds the wall.
Now, you and McCarthy have been holding the line on this. Tough stance. Not tough stance. I think you're reflecting the will of the people and reflecting the president's agenda, which is, for me, the only path forward for the GOP at this point. Jeff Denham, big liberal Republican. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a friend of yours. But he was on I think it was Martha McCallum's show, or Tucker's show tonight, excuse me. And he basically said, this is the way to deliver a solution to the president. The president wants a solution. This is the answer. He said there are a lot of bills who are possible, but we're delivering a comprehensive solution that will stop the 500,000 people a year, whatever it is, crossing the border.
Yeah, look, Jeff's a friend, but we disagree strongly on this. And I think that's the wrong approach that he's taken. But ultimately, what we want to do is work with President Trump to find a solution. Proposing some idea that's going to bring the DREAM Act to the House floor and maybe even pass something like the DREAM Act, which is blanket amnesty for more than 3 million people with no border security. That's not only not the right answer, but President Trump would even veto that bill. So why pursue some agenda that ultimately leads to a veto?
Why are they doing it?
Why don't we continue working together to try to get a solution that President Trump would sign into law to solve the problem?
Are they trying to embarrass the president?
No, I think that they, look, and they come from districts where they want to do something different than what we want to do on it. Let's get the right solution that President Trump will sign.
See, you're too nice. The New Orleanians, or the Louisianans are too nice. Okay, I'm from Connecticut. We'll just say, no, this is Congressman.
We have some street brawling, too, but at the end of the day, we want to get this problem solved.
Well, great to see you, as always.
Always great to be back.
Come back soon.